Wish TV is your home for high school football. This week, it's Hamilton County showdown between the Carmel Greyhounds and the Westfield Shamrocks. And of course, we have Greg Rakestraw with ISC Sports Network here to break down our game of the week. Certainly, we were talking in the break, a familiar face back in the coaching staff for Carmel.
Absolutely. Kevin Wright is back for his second tenure as the head coach of the Greyhounds, and Kevin is one of the most successful high school coaches, frankly, our state has seen, having led Warren Central to championships, having led Carmel to a championship. He was the head coach for just 5 years, but a very successful stretch of Carmel football. You know, Kevin has kind of bounced back and forth in terms of being a college coach, spent time at Western Kentucky, spent 4 years with Tom Allen down at IU. But where he is at his greatest success from a win-loss standpoint is not just the high school ranks, but is at Carmel and Warren Central before that as well. So not surprising that Kevin takes over and Carmel immediately has an impressive performance. They beat Fishers last week by a score of 49-24. They ran the ball 50 times for north of 330 yards. Aiden Johnson was 13 yards away from being the third 100-yard rusher in the game for Carmel. So after seasons of 5-5 and 3-7, Greyhounds certainly seemingly haven't gone in the right direction.
Okay, so then what are we looking at with Westfield? How'd they do last week?
Well, Westfield's only the defending state runners-up. So they have played deep into the playoffs now each of the last several years. And Westfield was kind of more of a big play offense with the running game last week. Deacon King had 7 carries for over 160 yards. You know, it is a team that graduated some key pieces on offense. And so passing game was a bit of a struggle at times last week for Westfield, but defensively they are so solid. You know, last year when these two teams got together, this was a week 2, Tara, they got interrupted by rain last year. So Carmel was actually winning on the Friday night. Westfield came back and beat them on the Saturday afternoon game. So I expect a really good game tomorrow night at Carmel Stadium.
Well, and that was kind of a hard tell on how they'll do because the weather interrupted it so much. Tara, we are expecting better weather.
Yes, we are.
What other big games are you watching?
So there's a lot of big games taking place in week number 2. First of all, Cathedral in Brownsburg certainly has your attention. Cathedral pitched a shutout against Ben Davis last week. Brownsburg beat a team out of Maryland for their opening game of the season. So looking forward to that one tomorrow. Decatur Central in New Pal should be a good one. Decatur Central got beat by Avon. New Pal appears to be the favorite in terms of 5A coming up this year. And North Central and Hamilton Southeastern are both coming off of wins. The story for North Central is that they snapped a 32-game losing streak by beating Brebeuf last week. This is thought to be a much improved North Central program. So there's just a couple of 3 games you can catch across Central Indiana. Yeah,
and so we are talking Friday night football, but we've got some Thursday night football as well.
Correct. So tonight is kind of the open end of the college football season. There were a scattering of games that took place at the Division I level last Saturday. But in terms of local football, it is the monumental matchup. Marion and UIndy playing for the first time in 9 years, and you can watch that game on our sister station, MyIndy TV 23, with coverage beginning at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, tonight. And you can also, of course, catch our game of the week live on MyIndy TV 23 tomorrow night. Starts at 7. Then you can switch over to Wish TV for highlights on the zone, of course. And you mentioned Tara because she's been bringing us better weather.
She's 1 for 1 so far this year.
1 for 1. You know, last year, the beginning of the season was rough with all that rain. Tara, it's looking like a better Friday night football again.
Yeah, can I go 2 for 2?
I think you can.
Check.